a look at the person next to you and say, God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love, we come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love.
Join me in prayer. There is only one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. God is perfect, whole, and complete. That life belongs to every beautiful, individualized expression in this sanctuary that has come together. We give thanks for the musicians, the sound people, the practitioners, all volunteers. We give thanks to all who've come here today to recognize this oneness that we share to make this service beautiful and powerful. We give thanks for Reverend Jen, who is the voice of Spirit. Spirit will speak through Reverend Jen this day to give us the message of love, peace, hope, joy, and harmony that each of us needs to hear, so that we can go forth in love and service wherever we live, work, and play. And so I give thanks for all of the people, whether they're in cathedrals, mosques, temples, or sweat lodges, who are giving thanks and expressing and being a part of this one life that we all share. I release my word in the divine law right now, knowing that it is done, already done in the mind of God. Together we affirm this by saying, and so it is. Words of inspiration for the day. From William Shakespeare. The golden age is before us, not behind us. From Douglas Adams. I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I have ended up where I needed to be. And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, the Christ is always triumphant, is ever a victor and never defeated, needs no champion. The Christ places his hand in the outstretched hand of the universe and walks unafraid through life.
Today we're going to continue through the theme of this month of Breathe in the View. And today and this week we're going to focus on celebrating the triumphant journey. We don't celebrate enough. You might think we do, but we don't. And I want to take some time to really get into the feel of this and what this means to each one of us on a daily basis, because when we celebrate us, when we celebrate who we are and how we are, life just expands exponentially. And I think what we have been taught is that you have to have a really specific reason. Something big has to have happened. Last week, Reverend Millie talked about heaven, and heaven being that part of us, that mindset that we have, that place in our heart, that way that we express in creating heaven on earth. And that gives us great cause to celebrate, because it's not something we have to wait for or wait for it to arrive. And I think that sometimes we feel like we have to really put a lot of energy into something and accomplish something phenomenal before we can kind of stand back and go, oh my gosh, I can celebrate me in this moment. And that's not the truth. So we've been on this path of growth and transformation and evolution into this life form, and to make it all that we want it to be, and to moving up to the higher view where we can see above and out across the clouds and out across the mountaintops, and we can lift our eyes up and see more of what life has in store for us. And in that very same aspect, let's not forget who each one of us is. Because in case you missed it, you are God expressing, each and every one of you. Each and every person on this planet, regardless of how they're behaving in the moment, are expressions of spirit. So I Googled this, because you know I do that. I Googled, what does celebrating life mean? I thought I was going to see a couple stories about celebrating life. No. What I saw was the definition of the end of life, and when we do a celebration of life ceremony. And I thought, well, and that's what's wrong with the world today. Google's got us all messed up here. And what I want you to know is we aren't going to wait for you to die to celebrate you. And I don't want you to wait either. Because trust me, if you wait, you're going to kind of miss the celebration. Because you're not going to quite be here for that, okay? So I found this quote that says, every day of your life is a special occasion. We're here. We're breathing. We're able to connect and communicate in whatever way we choose to do that. We're able to move around. Maybe some of us need help and support in doing that, but we can move around, we can get around, we can sit down and have a meal. We can taste the food. We can feel the love in our hearts. Those are reasons to celebrate. So think for a second. Many of you are parents, and if you're not, pretend you were. Or think of a niece or a nephew. When that baby comes into this life, when that infant is born, burst into this expression, we can't stop looking at the baby. We can't stop cheering the baby on. We can't stop celebrating the very fact that this child is here. And somewhere between that moment in time and where you are now, someone told you to knock that stuff off. And today I'm going to tell you not to. Today I'm going to tell you to celebrate, to simply celebrate. First thing I want you to remember is appreciate everything, 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 everything. I appreciate everything. If I hurt myself, I express appreciation that it wasn't any worse than it was. Spirit is in my life so much that there are moments in time every single day when there's an almost screw up, an almost problem, an almost put the wrong ingredient in the wrong thing, and those little seconds when I wasn't quite paying attention. And then Spirit kind of wakes me up and I say, thank you, God, in this. Thank you, Spirit, in this. It's grounds for celebration. So how do you celebrate? You do this a little bit for yourself, at your home, in the mirror, because you need to. Applaud who you are. Sing. I don't care what your voice sounds like. The people who live with you might, but probably not. Sing. Dance. Even if you are challenged in your mobility, you can dance in a chair. Crank up the music. That's the piece that I'm talking about. What I have started doing is I started coming up with rituals to acknowledge specific things in my day, where I can light a candle and spend some time with that candle in that place of being solemn and peaceful and acknowledging someone or something. I can feel an energy that's really exciting, and I can sit down and say, okay, well, what am I going to do with this? Do I want to color a picture? Do I want to cut something out? Do I need to make a phone call? Do I want to just get up and dance around the house? That celebration, that energy reaffirms for us who we are, and it helps us to move forward. And trust me, right now in this world today, we could use a little bit more of that sense of direction, of that support. I gave a man who was out on the street one day a $5 bill. He started dancing on the median. His eyes were just gorgeous and lit up, and he's smiling ear to ear, and he's just ecstatic. And I'm thinking, I get to go home and celebrate this too. Because the way I felt in his response was so beautiful. And then what we do is we go, it was only $5, and we walk away and we forget about it. This week, I don't want you to forget about it. This week, I don't want you to forget about the you that is in all of this. My birthday this past week, many of you know my birthday was Tuesday, and it's so cool when you have a birthday party on Saturday, because then everybody starts sending you all these birthday wishes, and it just keeps going. It's wonderful. And what I noticed this year that I hadn't noticed before is I will often send someone a birthday wish and say, celebrate you. Take time today and celebrate you. You're the gift. I never noticed before that people were saying that to me till this week. And I kept seeing these posts, and I kept thinking, well, I should probably do something. I mean, the party was Saturday, but hey, now it's Tuesday, and it's my birthday, and I should probably do something. So every day this week, I took some time to find a special way just to celebrate being here on planet Earth. I'm grateful to be here. I am thrilled to wake up every morning. Even though some mornings I might move a little slower, I might feel a little more tired, it doesn't matter. To be able to open my eyes, to be able to hear the sounds around me, to feel the sunshine outside, or even to walk outside in the cloudy sky, which is showing up from time to time, in the cool, brisk air. These are ways that we can celebrate our lives. My grandson Tyler's birthday is the Tuesday before mine, and so when we had the party last week, he was receiving gifts. I got some gifts. He was receiving gifts. And I watched this young man who just turned 26 years old light up in such awe over the gifts he got and the recognition. And I was just in heaven, because it is the first time my entire immediate family has been together in the same space in well over a year. And it's probably longer if I tried to go back and figure it out, but I didn't do that. But just to watch him and how thrilled he was, how excited he was, how grateful he was. And then to watch my older son attempt to give him advice. My younger son is his dad, so it was interesting to observe that. But it was great. It was so fulfilling. All I wanted was us to be together. Nothing else really mattered to me, and that was a big piece of the celebration. So find ways that you can celebrate you. And one of those ways is to appreciate everything. Everything. There's a story in the New Testament scriptures in the book of Luke. There was a man who was very wealthy, and he had 2 sons. And his youngest son came to him and he said, "Father, I would like to have my inheritance now. I don't want to wait. Would you be willing to give me my inheritance now?" And the father, being the loving, giving man that he was, he said, "Sure." So he put all of his inheritance together, and he divvied it up 50-50, and he handed it off to his oldest son, and he handed it off to his youngest son. His youngest son packed his stuff and took off. And he partied, and he played, and he traveled. And he blew right through that inheritance till there was nothing left. Now, this is a parable of Jesus, the master teacher. And one of the things we know about the parables of Jesus is that every single component in that parable has meaning. The father, the inheritance, the older son, the younger son, the travel, the parting, the playing. Even the fact that the younger son ended up tending to swine. What would that symbolize in the story for you, if you were to look at it? That's how Jesus taught through these parables. And so the youngest son decided he needed to go home. And he knew that it was going to be tough because his father probably thought he was a horrible, horrible person. And he would ask for forgiveness, and he would throw himself at his father's feet if that's what it took. And what happened instead was, as he was coming up the road, up over the hill, his father saw him and was so excited to see his son again. He ran to him. He threw his arms around him. He called for them to kill the fatted calf, poor calf, and he created this feast, and he just started doing this big, huge celebration. And over here, to the side, the oldest son was a little ticked off. And he said, "Father, I've been here the whole time. You haven't done this for me." And this scripture is what the father said. "Everything I have is yours." In other words, the meaning there, the message there is, well, if you don't want to party, why didn't you say so? You're right here. And he didn't give all of this attention and all of this celebration to his youngest son because his youngest son had accomplished anything major. He gave it to him because he loved him. My friends, we are taught to love ourselves. Love you as much as you could love any other person, more so. Because this is the one you're spending all the time with. Celebrate you. Celebrate you. This quote says, "Celebrate your life. You are not progressing when you keep looking into the past. Let everything go. Drop the packages. Enjoy your weekend and celebrate your future." Quit looking back there. The answers aren't back there. The learnings were back there. The lessons we needed are back there. And we can take those and go forward. But we need to focus on the present and where we are right now. It is Sunday. In a few days, some of you are going to be going crazy cooking and baking. Some of you are smarter than that. No, I'm kidding. You're all smart. But some of us are going to put a whole lot of time and energy into a meal to prove a point that everyone in our lives is deeply loved and richly held close, and we want to shower them with tons of food. And we'll do that as a form of celebration. But what I call you to do right here and right now is every day between now and then, celebrate you. Every day. If you cut back on your calorie intake, if you turn off the TV a little earlier, if you put the book down because it's taking too much time away from the kids, if you take a few minutes and go outside, whatever it is you do, celebrate it. It's an accomplishment, and it's a recognition of who you are. I want you to build upon that desire to not only soar as the being you are, but to share, support, love, persevere others. Not persevere others, persevere and love others, Tolerate people. No, not that wasn't where I was going with that. and love you. Stand in front of the mirror. Lock the bathroom door if you have someone who's going to annoy you in the process. Look into your eyes in the mirror and acknowledge who you are. And be honest. And don't get worried that you're going to get all egotistical. It doesn't work that way. Be humble. Be kind. And be loving. Lastly, or secondly, give thanks. Give thanks. Abraham Lincoln said, and in the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. I used to have a friend in my life that would say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I wasted the whole day. I didn't do anything. And I'm like, well, you had to do something because you're talking to me now. Well, yeah, but I didn't really do this. I didn't really do that. Those are the moments I want you to start celebrating because we need practice with that. Just being. Practice being present. Oh my gosh, I sat in this chair for 10 minutes. I didn't think about anything I had to go do anyplace else in the house. I just allowed myself to be present. Yay, me. Celebrate. So the message is appreciate everything. Give thanks. Celebrate. Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder, says this. There's an invisible presence hidden within us which has its source in a higher power and which acts through our actions, wills through our minds, and reveals itself in what we are doing. With typo. An invisible presence. Spirit is expressing through you. How are you celebrating that expression of the one? Are you taking the time to let it fully come forth and be and show up and celebrate? That's what we're called to do. That's what you're called to do this week. Homework. That's what you get to do this week. When life is sweet, say thank you and celebrate. And when life is bitter, say thank you and grow. Appreciate everything. Give thanks. Celebrate. Repeat. That's what I want you to do this week. Appreciate everything. Give thanks. Celebrate you. Repeat. Before I close the talk today, I want to bring something else forward to you. I love you all so dearly. You mean everything to me. You are in my heart all week long. When I'm preparing my talks, I see your faces, I feel your hearts, I hear your voices. And so today I want to talk for just a moment about our beloved community of Aurora, Colorado, and the bigger community of the United States and the greater community of the world. There is so much need for us right now. This past week, we had 2 shootings in Aurora. Our children were the targets. And what I want us to do as we leave this sanctuary today and go home is I want us to carry in our hearts the very knowing of what we were called here to do. To take a stand for peace. To live in that place of compassion and love. To reach out to others, whether it is just in your energy, on Facebook, over the phone, driving the car, however, and let people know they are loved and loved. And more than anything this week, my ask of you is to hold the prayer. Hold the vision for a world of peace, because it only takes a few who live in consciousness to lift that vibration. I'm not asking you to go out there and confront anybody. I'm asking you to be in that place of love and light and prayerfulness, praying for those who've been harmed, praying for the hundreds of children who have been traumatized, praying for the continuing flow of whatever this ebb and tide is that seems to keep coming forth in our nation, in our world, that keeps showing up, and asking, what is mine to do? And maybe what yours is to do is nothing more than to hold that space, that container that knows we're moving through it and beyond it. And if during this week you become aware of anything or anyone that you feel I need to know about, reach out to me. This is my purpose. This is why I'm here. Not only to lead this community and be support to all that we are and all that we have, but also to touch those hearts of those who feel broken and confused and hurt and harmed. This week, pray like you've never prayed before. The world needs us. The world needs spirit. The world needs our prayers. Please join me. Practitioners, please stand. As we just breathe into this moment right here and right now, our hearts are tender. Our minds are open to that consciousness, that awareness, that beauty, that love, that light that is God, that is a part of each and every one of us, that is prompting us and guiding us to be more than we can or more than we thought we could be. More of that expression, of that beautiful, perfect expression of spirit. And what I know right here and right now is that God is here. That God lives within my heart, in my mind, in my body, and this is the truth for each and every person in this room and each and every person who is watching this through virtual means. May we know the presence and the power that's within us. May we come to know and share the relief that can bring into our lives. May we share the compassion, the ideas of peacefulness with others. And may we also know that we still have the right, the very right and the very joy to celebrate ourselves, to acknowledge who we are and how far we've come. It isn't one or the other. It is everything together. And so as we just allow ourselves to be grounded in this idea and in this knowing that we, the New Dawn community, has been called to be a part of the greater community of Aurora, Colorado, and to support people everywhere. May we take a stand in that knowing, and asking what's that going to take, and then reaching out to the people that we need to bring forth to support us in this process, but always, always, always beginning in that prayerful conversation with Spirit. How perfect it is to be able to stand here and speak these words. How beautiful it is for me to just know, because of my faith, that it's all going to work out. It's all going to unfold in absolute perfection, some way, somehow, somewhere. And all I need to do is hold that container of love and light and faith and allow it to be. And so I know each and every person here today is blessed. All people all over the planet are blessed by God, guided by God, living in that perfection. So I simply release these words onto the law of mind, where everything is brought in a collective consciousness and is manifested in the wholeness as we believe it can be, because Spirit always says yes. I give thanks. I let it go. I let it be. And together we say, and so it is.
Take a look at the person next to you. Say God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love, we come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love.
Hello. I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.